election, or do you feel like the exercise is going on smoothly?
What I would say is that we have a custom that the register that is used for elections is those lawyers who had registered, taken out a practicing certificate the year before the election. So that in this case it is 2019. So that register has been shared with members so that they can review their names. Nothing has been done differently from previous elections in terms of the register. I personally do not have complaints about it.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. Well, there you have it. That was Charles Kanjama, one of the contestants in the LSK elections. He has been telling us what he intends to do to ensure that the rule of law is followed and obeyed in the country, amid concerns that perhaps some government officials have not been obeying the rule of law and, of course, court orders. We will continue keeping tabs on what is happening here at the Milimani Law Courts, and we'll be giving our viewers updates as soon as we get them. But for now, I hand it back to you, Betty Kiptum, in studio.
Well, thank you very much, Nancy Okware, just giving us for that update. Speaking to Charles Kanjama, one of the people running for president of the Law Society of Kenya. He's running alongside Nelson Harvey, Harriet Chigai, and Maria Mbeneka. Remember that the presence of Harriet Chigai and Maria Mbeneka in that race just could lead Kenya to have, or rather could lead the LSK to have its first woman president in about 16 years after Rachel Omamo, who was and has been the only woman LSK president. And Nancy Okware will be giving us an update on just how those LSK elections go. But now we want to cross over to, excuse me, Fiona Shuru, who she is at the MCSK, that is Music Copyright Society of Kenya, payout to the musicians and artists. There has been a row over just how these payments are calculated, and today they are paying out about 37 million shillings for July to September 2019. Let's listen into that.
For the CMOs, for having been keen in ensuring that the structures are in place and that everything is in place and that the CMOs are regulated well to ensure that the money go to the rightful people who are the right owners of the music. Kekobo and its executive director has done very well to help the musicians through such regulation. Further, let me appreciate our partners with whom we have been working together to put things in line, who are Kenya Association of Music Producers and Performers' Rights Society of Kenya, PRISC, for cooperating with us in this joint collection that began at the beginning of last year under Kekobo's supervision, which has so far borne a lot of fruits in the entire CMO industry. Lastly, allow me to appreciate the musicians who are the earners of what we are collecting for their understanding. They have been patient in most times. Once or twice there has been some misunderstanding, but it's only because they have lacked the right information. And therefore, from today we are rolling out with the scientific distribution, which is what they have been desiring over a long period of time, as opposed to what we call general distribution that goes equally to every artist. You realize when I do general distribution, not much, because MCSK has about 14,000 members. So whatever amount we get, distributing it equally to every person, the amount is not large per se. But when it comes to the scientific, this is the time the work of each person is identified as per how it has been used. And this is what also the international community is encouraging, that we pay people according to their sweat, according to the effort they have made for their work. Even in the Bible we hear that Jesus is coming back to pay everybody according to their work. So we would like to improve on paying through this scientific distribution, alongside the general and other distributions as per the calendar of Music Copyright Society of Kenya. Thank you.
That is the chairman of the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, Japheth Kasanga, speaking about the 37 million distribution of million shillings distribution for July to December 2019 of royalties paid by media houses and, of course, the music users. He says that the payout will be calculated, or rather has been calculated, on the first scientific calculated payout based on audiovisual play as well as logs from media stations. In the past, there has been quite some uproar from those artists claiming that the blanket payment of the same amount for everyone just means that they are not getting their fair share of the hard work that they've been putting in their music. And of course, we come back here to the conversation of the day on matters tourism and hospitality. And remember, we are asking you, what can the government do to ensure that tourism is boosted in the country? What should be done to boost tourism in the country? And we are speaking with Mehdi Morad, the country general manager of ACO in Kenya. Thank you for staying with us, Mehdi.
Pleasure.
We were discussing the education or the training and skill set, you know, in the hospitality industry. Could you go on?
I do believe, again, that we have quality schools in Kenya. You know, when it comes to tourism, it's or especially culinary, accommodation, hotels, business, it's a lot of learning on the go, learning as a training. And I must say the legislation for that is pretty much well set for the moment. So you can have really, we can see a lot of trainees in all the hotels, in the lodges, into tourism companies, and it's our duty to support the next generation for that. Of course, there should not be abuses. People should not be trailed into training for way too long to replace employees, which is not the point. But I didn't have the impression that this is the case in Kenya. I think, yeah, everything is well regulated. What could be brought more is more of visitors, more, let's call it educational tourism, where we could invite teachers, we could invite speakers into the schools to get away from the traditional and only classical, you know, studying part, but also bring experiences, share knowledge, and also interact with the young generation.
Interacting with the young generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you look at the international standards that there are, you know, sometimes maybe international brands are forced to bring in chefs from abroad to meet their needs, you know, the top needs. What can the Kenyan education system, you know, of the sector do to improve the skill set of those top skills that are needed in the sector?
You see, when you bring a top chef to one hotel, for example, that benefits only the 20, 30, 50 people that work in that hotel.
Right.
These top chefs also, I do believe, should have also a bit of responsibility by going to these schools and sharing more of the knowledge and so on. I think that we have to be, do we do it enough? Certainly not. We're working on it more and more. You have also some great Utali, if I'm not mistaken, which is the Utali College, which is doing a lot of things into developing the people and so on, and it's done by great professionals. I do believe there can be more that can be done, but we should not really shy of what we have today in Kenya.
And when you look at even the international chefs that are there, you know, they did not start when they were 25.
No.
They started being in the kitchen and just feeling the heat when they were very young. So what does starting early have to do with even sharpening the skill?
But definitely, I mean, again, it's a job that you learn by doing. You know, cooking is not about reading a recipe. You can read the recipe. We can all have the same recipe. We cook, and if I cook, it will be a disaster because I cannot cook because I didn't cook enough. But these guys who've been since, I mean, in France, for example, I'm French and Moroccan, and in France we have this. You are allowed to start to work in kitchen as of 14 years old, supported by school, and then we call it apprenticeship. That goes over 4 years, and then you graduate, and then you can work officially. And yeah, there should be that option here also. We cannot today, but we should open this option because that could be great. Absolutely, that works for that. You know, for kitchen, we're talking about kitchen, but it works also in engineering. You know, you have the studies, but also have to do it. So there's a lot of things that can be changed. We have to get away from the real classical studies, especially when it comes to tourism and hospitality.
And hospitality, of course, there are some cuisines that are more popular than others, you know, for especially the international clientele. And maybe most of the chefs in Kenya are focusing on selling the Kenyan or the African cuisine. where can they just get the balance of, well, we have this Kenyan cuisine, we have this African
great,
cuisine, which
absolutely.
is great, but I also need the skills of, say, Italian cuisine, French cuisine, you know, what is the balance?
No, I do believe today that we have amazing chefs, Kenyan chefs, that are learned because, again, because they worked with international chefs or they traveled abroad, they worked abroad, they've been exposed to different cultures. And I can think of really successful chefs here that are Kenyan. And I think that's great. We used to think, I mean, we may often think that we don't have that, but we have that already.
Okay.
We have this. We need more, obviously. We need all the chefs. But that's why, you know, talking about, we had the discussion again with the minister about, you know, the working permits. So maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you used to have in a hotel 10, 15 expats. Today it's barely 2. It's a general manager and the chef. Don't we have chefs in Kenya that can do it? Of course we do. But if we cut that, bringing that knowledge into the country, then we'll close the evolution. And things change a lot abroad, so we have to bring that. So now I think it's a great balance. We should not have many expats. I'm against that totally. But we should not go for the zero expat because that's not good neither.
Right. Earlier on, you had mentioned about the challenges that are facing the sector. There's the security issue, there's the taxation regime. One thing I think that is giving the sector a run for its money is the technological innovations that are going on. But things like apps like Airbnb, you know.
Yes.
Is it just getting a chunk of the clientele, or is there some target marketing?
Again, we could stand and say, oh my God, Airbnb is taken from the traditional hotels. But you have people who don't want to travel into a hotel, who want really, you know, if you take a hotel like the Movenpick, we have a double offering. We have rooms and we have 77 apartments, serviced apartments, because you have guests who first long stay, who need to have that long stay. They want the service, they don't want to do the service by themselves, or they're working, or for example, they're based in Nairobi. I'm talking about the UN bodies and so on, and they're traveling every day, or maybe they come once a month, but they still have that base where everything is cared for. Then you have the families who want the Airbnb experience. They want to be more in touch with the local market. They want to go buy their own things, cook it, and so on. So Airbnb, I see it as an opportunity. In Kenya, sadly, because of the security issues, they're not really well settled because not everybody would come and book an Airbnb if they don't know Nairobi, if they don't know the areas. But no, I see it as an opportunity rather than a threat.
Right, so you're saying that the cake is big enough for everyone.
You know, cake will grow when you will have enough people to eat the cake, let's say it like that. So, but for that you have to first prepare, do the offerings. Yes, you go through difficult moments, especially when the year like this is very soft, not to say even going down with the recession. So, but then when the growth will be here, you have the infrastructures to catch a part of that growth. Otherwise, we'll go to countries where they have the offering.
Where they have the offering.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about the millennials, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They are very outgoing, you know, they want to visit places, they want new experiences. Is the sector tapping from this group of, you know, millennials?
You have to, because today the travel to Kenya, I mean, okay, again, if you go to the Masai Mara type, let's say, stereotype of the traveler, is in the 60s, 70s, even, you know, American client going for that. But that's only a small part of the visitors.
Okay.
You have a lot of young visitors. You know, Kenya, for example, is not very adapted to backpackers yet because of security questions. People are not feeling that much ready to do that. But you have to cater for all this. You know, you have also some new innovative companies. I met a company called I Like Local, where they offer, amazingly, they offer activity for the tourists who want to interact with the local communities.
Right.
So these people want to go and plant something into a farm in Kenya. They want to spend a day into the tree farm, but not just to walk. They want to learn how you plant tree, what are the specifications. They want to go to Kibera. They want to meet also the person who the manufacturers. It's a lot of things that are changing, and that came out of a demand from the market. That was not in any way initially natural change.
So ideally, what I'm getting from what you're saying, like a concept like I Like Local, it means we already have what to offer.
Yes, it started, but it's very new. It's very new.
Yes, it's very new, but we have...
No, I mean, Kenya has a lot.
We have always had this. The communities are there. They are practicing their tradition.
Absolutely.
So it's the packaging that's lacking.
It's how do you link that between the visitor? How do you take the visitor into that place? Because when you arrive here, if you want to learn to plant tea, to take that example, and you're referring to, you will not find that on the internet. you need somebody who can connect you with that. And here you go. And that's where comes such innovative, by the way, startups that are bringing something really unique.
And the use of technology by itself, you know, in the industry, leave alone the Airbnbs now, the innovations, the use of technology to capture these people, you know, online marketing and all that. Could you speak into how the industry is leveraging on that?
You see, that's one of the discussions we had also about KTB and the role that we have. How do we promote people now is we